Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL Podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL Podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I'm your host, Lake, and I am joined once again by my co-host, Christy. Christy, how are we today?
Oh, look at you bringing me in right as you're announcing me. I was like, wait, I'm in the waiting room. Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I am doing all right. Yes, we are doing this show live for our Patreons, so thank you for those that continue to support the show. And if you are listening to this on the main feed, consider supporting us at patreon.com/DCL Podcast. We are also not alone. We are bringing in our friend Amber. Amber, how are we today?
Fantastic. I don't know. This is a podcast, so it's not like a visual thing, but Lake's shirt is amazing. And we need to talk about it at least for 5 minutes of this podcast.
Oh, 5 whole minutes. And that shirt is from the merch from the place we are discussing. And we will throw the picture of Lake's shirt in the show notes.
Love it.
This is an exciting show because we are talking about my Aulani trip. And
Yay.
the shirt is relevant because it is an Ulu shirt. And you can only get, or you could only get Ulu things at Aulani. You can get them at the Polynesian now.
And Amber is here because I have not been to Aulani in 13 years.
Christy,
And-
no.
Yes, 13 years it's been. It was lovely when it was 1 month old. I mean, it's still lovely, right? But there was no people there, which was really lovely. But we need Amber because Amber goes to Aulani like every year.
I have been 5 times.
This is what I'm saying. So every other year, literally every other year.
But thank you, Disney Vacation Club. I just want to throw that out there.
So we stayed because my mom is DVC. She decided for my 30th birthday and her birthday as well, which I will save her from the podcast, that we were going to do a big birthday Aulani trip.
First of all, we haven't fully addressed the fact that Lake has just now, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, turned 30. 30.
Yes.
30. Oh my God.
But yes, I am 30 as of last week. To celebrate, we did a little bank and borrowing of points, and we booked a 1-bedroom studio at Aulani for 4 nights, technically. We did Monday to Friday. I'm sorry, we did do 5 nights. My sister came in a day early.
Perfect.
And she was in the same room.
So you had the room with the full kitchen and all that fun stuff?
Yep, full kitchen, the main bedroom, and then the pull-out couch. I would wish they would get rid of the pull-out couch.
Oh my God. Yes, it's the worst.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did get stuck on that. It was fine. It really was.
Because you're the easiest going people on the planet.
Yeah.
So did your sister sleep with your mom or in the drop-down bed? Did you
She
say?
slept in the bed with my mom.
Okay.
We did originally have a 5th. My grandmother was supposed to come, and she last minute decided not to come for no good reason. We'll leave it at that.
Christy or I would have come.
I'm going to backtrack and actually talk about getting to Aulani
Yeah.
first.
I feel
So
like we're unhinged. I apologize.
We are unhinged. We're going to rehinge here a little bit and start back at the beginning. But we booked this trip. We tied this trip to the Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon, which I will save you all the details on. But we did a couple days in Disneyland.
Wait, but you stayed at Disneyland Hotel. I don't think you have to totally save. It was wonderful and amazing still.
It was pretty wonderful. We had the
1,000
best view that we've had in the Disneyland Hotel. We were club level, which would explain why we had a good view. I will say the Disneyland Club Level Lounge is probably the most disappointing of the Club Level lounges that we've done in quite a while. And we did get to see the Grand Californian one the last time we were in Disneyland, and that one was way better. It was still good. Like, we still enjoyed the food and we would go up there, but it's pretty small for the amount of people that they book rooms under the club level.
Mm.
So it was very hard to find spaces to sit most of the time.
Yeah, that's tough.
We flew from Tampa to SNA, and then to get to Aulani, we actually Ubered up to LAX. We did the morning flight out of there, and we did LAX straight to Honolulu. And when we got there, we had rented a vehicle, and we were lucky enough to actually end up with a Jeep. It wasn't on purpose. I do like Jeeps, so that was a little plus, especially since I was suckered into driving.
Oh man, kudos to you, because those parking spots at Aulani are no joke.
They are some tight little spots in there, but it was fine. I actually never found like you could always go up or down a level if you needed. And there was always like multiple open spaces when we were there. It was never a huge issue, but I always found a space like on that third level right when you pulled in.
Nice.
So it really was not too big of an issue at all parking wise. But yeah, it's a pretty easy drive though. It's really one road to get to Aulani from Honolulu. The drive time can vary because it is the only highway. Everyone has to take that highway. It wasn't super long for us to get to Aulani. I think it was maybe 25 minutes, like not bad at all. But if you're going to hit those peak traffic times, you're going to be looking at like 45 to an hour for sure.
And you didn't stop at the store on your way, right? You went later?
Yes. So we were going to go and do shopping because we had a kitchen. We wanted to pre-plan a couple meals, but we went and dropped our stuff off first. I just wanted to get the bags dropped off, sit down for a little while, maybe even like walk around. So we went to the resort first and then we drove back out not too long after to the Target, which was only like 5-10 minutes away.
Yeah, it's like a stop or two away on the highway, right?
Yeah, it's like 2 exits down on the highway. It was super easy to get to. There's a couple other little stores and shops and restaurants in there.
One of those stores and shops is a Subway. But no, like we always do that too. We always drop off our stuff first just because I'm about to buy like 8,000 pounds of groceries and I can't possibly carry all my luggage and the
that's smart.
groceries like from the garage. Plus, was your room ready when you got there? It sounds like you got there pretty early.
His sister had arrived the day before, so she was already...
Nice.
I want to say got there maybe before or around noon.
Okay.
It was definitely around that lunchish time. I will say if you're going to shop for Aulani, just like everywhere on Hawaii, it is fairly expensive for food, whether you're going to be going to a restaurant or purchasing it. I would make yourself a plan because we definitely went without a plan and we were hungry and definitely bought way too much stuff and then ended up leaving like unopened bags of chips and stuff in the room afterwards. Plan your meals out a little bit better. We did not do that. We were just like, oh, we should go get groceries.
And those bags of chips were like $9 each. So
Yeah, they weren't quite $9 each, but yeah, they were like probably $5 or $6 when here they might be $3 or $4. But like I said, it was fine. Like we knew to expect that. The one thing I was not prepared for is that Hawaii does not have shopping bags.
were they like
So-
5 cents or were they like $1?
They didn't have any plastic bags at all. So you could only buy reusable ones. Now, luckily, they had pretty big ones. So I think we had to buy 2 of them, which was fine. It was like maybe $1 each. But that is something to remember when you go and when you accidentally buy way more groceries than you were expecting to, because we ended up having to buy bags.
Yeah, that is a good tip. I did know that. And I'm sorry, Lake, I didn't warn you about that. So yeah, I always pack like 5 reusable bags on the top of my suitcase so I can find them quickly because I'm not like unpacking before I usually go to Target. I'm just throwing my stuff in the room and then leaving for Target.
Going back to the resort then, easy drive back. Before we even went to Target, we actually did do lunch at the resort. That was the first thing we did was walk around and we went to, I think it's Ulu Cafe is the one quick service there. And we had done the poke bowl and the other, I think it's like a noodle bowl. Both are actually very solid. We enjoyed both of them. And it's like, even though, like I said, it was expensive, they were almost $20 each. They were like a pretty big bowl portion. So we were happy with them. They definitely filled us up. And then we got back to the resort. We put away pretty much all of our stuff, did the groceries. That was the night that we were going to cook our first meal as well. We didn't have any plans for dinner that night. So we just literally made pasta. We had bought like a garlic bread loaf, all of that stuff. Yeah. The only other thing we did that day, which I forgot about, was we went to the little beach.
Cove 1, perhaps?
It's a cove. Yeah. It's Cove, something Cove. That was the word I was looking for. My sister and I actually did go, and she had snorkeling masks and snorkels. So we went in just to like see what we could see. We ended up seeing a sea turtle,
That's awesome.
No way.
which was pretty cool because I had like no expectations for seeing something in that little cove there. So that was pretty cool. And then we just literally hung out on the beach. I got a Dole Whip right there at that stand. Their specialty one is watermelon swirled, which was delicious.
Ooh.
I love a swirled Dole Whip.
Is this the stand that's like right by the beach?
Right on the beach, yep.
Okay, nice.
Sounds crazy, but that was pretty much the whole first day. It's like by the time we did shopping and everything, we put everything away, we were ready for bed. I mean, we were also getting hit with time changes going over that way.
I do have one question. Like, before you went to Aulani, did you watch like tons of YouTube videos and TikToks, or was the lobby and like the grandeur of it like a complete like surprise? Like, what were your vibes when you walked into the lobby for the first time?
So actually, we did not walk into the lobby until the second day.
Oh, you walked like from the parking garage?
So we were able to go and park right away. So we just went in the side and went right to the room. We did have like just a standard view room. So we pretty much looked, you could see the Four Seasons was pretty much our view. And when you saw down, you could see the spa area and the adult area. Only nice thing is like that side stays pretty nice and shady most of the day. You don't really have to worry about like being on your balcony and getting too hot. So it was fine. I mean, we knew that we weren't going to get some picturesque ocean view room, and you can kind of room hack your way in Aulani to get nicer viewed rooms and room requests. Like that is a whole hack in itself. And I was not aware of that before. Nor do we necessarily care quite enough to be like, oh, we need to specifically request room A, B, or C. But yes, we did not go through the lobby at all that first day.
So sad. You'll have to go back for the first impressions again.
Oh, we still went through the lobby quite a bit, and it is beautiful. The whole resort is beautiful. And that whole like drive too, like once you can see the Ko'olina area, like it's very clear, like that's Aulani right there. And the whole drive up, it's very picturesque getting up to it, and it is just such a pretty resort. It's so very grown in with all its greenery and trees as well.
I think I've said this before on this podcast, but driving to Aulani kind of reminds me of a cruise a little bit, because like from far away you can see it, and then you get closer and it's there, and then you walk into the lobby and it's like multiple stories. Nobody announces your name, but it's kind of got the same cruisy vibes. At least until you have to start paying for food.
I will say, OMG, the DVC setup there is intense. They have like 3 different rooms. They have the private areas, and then they have like 10 desks just for DVC meetings. Like they have a whole system down. They have 2 different show rooms open on the pool levels at any time to go and see rooms. Like they are really pushing the DVC there, as they should. I mean, they have, as you'll come to discover, a very good resort and a very good setup there.
Once you've paid for this hotel room once, but you know you want to go back in 3 years because you love it so much, or 2 years, and you can see your family wanting to return, I bet they sell a ton of cash sale people DVC contracts because of how cool that place is.
Yep. And then that wraps up pretty much our day 1 at Aulani. And it was more or less like a half day. Still getting like with the time change, I felt like we got there and got at least a little bit of leisure out of it. And then that brings us into day 2. This was what I would call our big excursion. And I will circle back to preface. Amber had asked like what I did to prep. And probably the biggest thing was actually use this podcast and use the Patreon Facebook page to ask questions. There's many people that have been or are going to Aulani on that page. I tried not to watch a bunch of videos because I wanted to like save some of it for myself to be surprised. But one of the biggest things that I needed help was we knew we wanted to do Kualoa Ranch, but I wasn't sure what tour we wanted to do. And we were between either doing the Jurassic tour or the UTV tour. And everyone raved about the UTV tour and said it was awesome. And there was some positivity for the Jurassic tour too, but I was really sold on the UTV tour. So that is what we did. So we drove to Ko'olina. That is pretty much on the direct other side of the island. It did take us probably about an hour 15 or so to get there. And that was because we did hit quite a bit of traffic. Man, that drive out there is the most beautiful drive of my life. That whole side of the island almost doesn't look real. And it's so surreal because you're on the main like highway, the H1, and then you switch up to the H2 and you're like going into this valley and it's like getting greener already. And you go through a tunnel through the mountain and you come out and it is like the whole area is like jungly. It's that like Jurassic Park, like native Hawaiian beauty that you absolutely imagine. The coastline is like way down below you because you're up on a bridge now. Like it was just absolutely stunning. And that whole drive all the way up to Ko'olina is you go down and you get off and then you're pretty much driving up the coastline up to this preserve. It was stunning.
Yeah, that is incredible. I had sent Katie a text or message when she posted the pictures while you guys were there. And I was like, this just doesn't look real. She was like, it was real. I'm like, well, I know that.
So we did the UTV tour. I will say getting there, it's all pretty organized because they have an immense amount of tours you can book. All sorts of movie tours, horseback riding, of course, the UTV tour. They have ones where they take you out on a boat and go to some other island. Like there is just all sorts, zip lining as well. They have somewhere, I didn't even see where that was. But Koaluna Ranch is basically a private reserve, and it's pretty well known for being a movie set in many, many movies. Very notably, it is the valley in Jurassic Park in the first one, and then it's been used quite a bit in all of the Jurassic World movies as well. But there was a lot of other things. Skull Island was filmed there. Some episodes of Lost were filmed there. They were actively filming what we think is the next Jurassic World movie.
No way.
Yes.
Amazing.
They were like very cryptic about it, but when we
Right.
came in, you could see where they were set up for like the actors and the staging and all of that kind of down below. And we didn't go anywhere near wherever they were filming, but we came to find out through some Googling and like seeing who was reporting who was on the island that it was more than likely Jurassic World.
I was there a couple of years ago and they were filming the movie Midway. I don't know. It wasn't like a huge box office, but it was about World War II, perhaps. So if you see Midway, we saw that being filmed there. And then one time we went and they're like, oh, Jack Black's here filming a movie. And at the time we're like, that's cool. And it turned out it was Jumanji.
Jumanji. Yep.
So like all of Jumanji #1, like once you've been to Kualoa Ranch, you'll see it in like all these movies where they're supposed to be in Costa Rica or whatever. It's always Kualoa Ranch.
Yeah, it is used, and they have signs like as you go through. But basically, our tour was that you get in like a 4-person like all-terrain vehicle, and there's like basically a whole train of them, and they give you the whole safety briefing. You watch a video, but then pretty much your family gets in, and they drive you around the ranch. You take a couple stops at some of the more like picturesque places, some of the movie scenes. I will say, if you're like super interested in the movies, you may want to do like the actual movie tour, because this one is a little bit more of moving around and really about seeing more of the preserve and more of like the natural part of it as well, because you go both through the valley all the way and then you go on the other side and go up and through that. So we only stopped, I think, 3 different times. One was to see the Jurassic Valley, which is also like the most probably picturesque area. And then you stop at the top of a hill, which is a Jurassic World set piece. They have a bunker there that was filmed from the second World movie. And then you can take a picture basically of the other side of the valley going into the ocean. And then our last stop was on the other side of the ranch, which was up on a hill. It was also a Jurassic World set piece, but the actual set wasn't there. It was just like this was where this was filmed, but you don't see any of that. But that was like up on the mountain, looking down into the ocean as well. But it was really cool, really worth it. You do get pretty dirty. They give you like matte gaiters as well as goggles to wear, which definitely is like a huge help. We got a couple minutes in, and we're like, okay, like we knew we would need the gaiters, and most of my family was like, oh, we need the masks too, or the goggles. We were the last ones in the like little caboose, so it was definitely like pretty dirty.
Do you think it would be something I would do?
I think so. It's really not like rough. Like it's gravelly, like off-roady paths, but there's nothing that's ever like, oh, this is like too intense. This is too dangerous. You're never going super fast. So there's a guide as the front car, and then there's also a guide in the middle too. So there's always like someone kind of within eye range, kind of keeping an eye on you. It never at any point felt like super intense. My sister, who's younger than me, drove as well. And then my mom and Katie both just sat in the back and enjoyed kind of filming and taking pictures as we drove through the ranch. It was definitely well worth it. And we've already said we will 100% go back to Koalua and do just like a different tour. We don't even necessarily care which one, maybe something more movie focused next time. Katie also mentioned being interested in the horseback riding, because similar to the UTV, they get to kind of go see some of their own path, like their own dedicated stuff, because the big like movie and Jurassic tours are bigger buses, so they don't get to go and see quite everything. They basically have to stay on their bigger paved part of the roads. But yeah, it was beautiful. Absolutely just well worth the time to get there and the time at the ranch.
Yeah, I'll chime in. When I was there in February, we just did the movie tour, which you're just legit on a school bus. So obviously you can't go into the crazy places. And honestly, we only stopped like 2 times. it was pretty cheap. I think it was only like $40 or $50 a person, whereas all the other ones were probably triple that. Like it was okay. It was a nice like welcome to the ranch, but it was a very like skimmed over, like here's this ranch exists. Hey, have a good day. So it was fun, but what you did sounds like way cooler.
Yeah, there was definitely plenty of places where you literally just like maybe didn't even slow down, but it was like very clearly a movie set and you had to kind of just like peek at what the sign said. So you didn't get to stop at everything, but again, you got to see pretty much the whole island or not the whole island, but the whole ranch because of it. And that's what they said was like, this is, if you want to see the ranch and see everything, this is the best tour for it.
Nice. So it sounds like you pre-booked it well in advance.
We did. I just booked it through Kualoa's site. And we actually did because I mentioned my grandmother had dropped off the trip. I did have to call them and make a change. If you do have to do that, as long as it's over 48 hours, they can make that change for you. You have to do it over the phone, though. And I will note, due to the time change, and I think they literally just have like one person in an office manning the phones. It took me multiple days and multiple tries to make it happen. Once I finally got connected to someone, super easy, like 2 minutes. But there was probably at least an hour and a half sitting on the phone waiting for the Kualoa queue.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because like, you only have a couple hours typically between your time and their time where it's convenient for you and it's when they're open to go and make it happen. They refunded me and everything for it though, so that was no problem at all. And then getting back, we were like, okay, we're hungry, we want food. And we were like, let's just pick like we went on Google and just like saw the different food places and we were like, let's just pick whatever looks like the biggest like hole in the wall place that we could possibly find. So sure enough, there was like literally this roadside stand and it had 5-star review on Google and everyone was raving about it on Google. And it was literally like 2 miles down the road from the ranch. And you go and you just like pull off on the side of the road, basically. Like they have just a very little path there. And the actual space is like literally the size of a closet. Like me and my family could barely fit in there. And there's just like stuff everywhere. Like it's just a little like shack where people buy drinks and stuff on their way to work. And we went in and the lady's like, oh, chicken. And it's like a pre-made thing of chicken already like wrapped in saran wrap. And we're like, yeah, we'll do that. And they had like pre-made sushi rolls as well. So we went and got these and there's like 20 parks basically along the road there. So we just went and turned down into one of the parks. And sure enough, it was pretty good chicken. The whole experience of it itself, like going into this there was just mountains of stuff everywhere in there. It is not like a place where you imagine getting good food. It was absolutely a hole in the wall. But both the lady and I think it was her son who was like doing the cooking, super sweet, super nice. Like they were so excited to have people in there. It was absolutely a hole in the wall experience, but it was pretty fun. And then we sat at whatever park we picked, and the Air Force base is right across the water there. So you just sit there and watch the planes basically take off from there and fly over you and around the island.
That's cool.
Yeah, that part of the island is so like there's just not much over there. You're lucky you found a place to eat because there's just, there's no Burger King or like the normal stuff over there. But yeah, the whole coast is just like untouched. So beautiful.
I think as long as you're willing to be a little adventurous and take a chance, like there was definitely multiple little like hole in the wall type of shack places that was selling food and like cut fruit and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely one of those fun. Well, we're glad we tried that type of situations. And then getting back to Aulani was super easy. Like it was like half the time of getting there because there was just no traffic. But we did stop on the way to get shaved ice. We did not stop at like one of the big recommended. We literally just went to one of the like more established venues because we were just like, okay, what is on the way back? We know we want to try this. And I'm not going to lie. I thought that this whole shaved ice thing was a total scam. I was like, there is no way that this is going to live up to the hype of what everyone says. Everyone's like, oh, you got to go here for shaved ice or here. Like, it's like, why do we have allegiances to shaved ice places? There is no way. And sure enough, Hawaiian shaved ice is absolutely different. It is absolutely fantastic. And there's all sorts of different special things they do to it. They put condensed milk over it or they put ice cream under it. And the place we went to is Aulani's, which I guess is just a chain that is on most of the islands there. but it was absolutely worth it. Exceeded my expectations. I was totally put in my place on that one.
It's still worth it. No, I'm glad you tried it. Because, yeah, like, why is it so good? Is it just because you're on vacation? I don't think so.
So it's different than Kona ice. Is this what you're telling me?
It's just ice. Like, so good.
Way different, because it's like the type of ice they use is like really fluffy, and then it's packed in nice. And then they also, all of their syrups are way different from our syrups. Like their syrups are all like natural cane sugar is like their base ingredient. And then it's more, I think, natural flavoring than most of ours that you find at a pool making snow cones.
So how did Hawaiian shaved ice or whatever, that was just the general idea, right? But how would the street in the city shaved ice?
We had a lot of shave ice. My trip in February, we went, I think, 4 times. I'd say the other ones are slightly better, but the Aulani one is very high quality. First of all, you pay extra for your Mickey ears on the Hawaii one, which is obviously worth it. And the one in Aulani, shockingly, has like, I'm going to make this up, like 25 options. And some are like pretty crazy, which I can't think of right now, but like fruits you've never heard of. So you can get some wacky combos at Aulani. So obviously, I always recommend to go out into the island, eat what the locals eat. But the one at Aulani is still, I still highly recommend it. Did you guys eat the one at Aulani Lake?
We did not, and we really should have, because we wanted shaved ice again, and we just didn't go back to that one. I think we were under the impression that that one was not going to be as good as going out somewhere, so we had kind of dismissed it. But I do wish we had tried it.
I mean, you're probably right. So they do have some pretty like cool and unique flavors at Aulani. I just remember when my kid ordered, they have green tea also. I was like, listen, you got to get 2 flavors that don't make any sense. Like, I'm not buying you a banana strawberry shave ice. You're getting some wacky Hawaiian thing. And it was always like really good.
Yeah, the one thing I did like about going to Aulani's was like they have all their flavors and all their extras, but then like right in the center they had the like, hey, here's some combinations we recommend that come with this, and that. So we were basically all just like, okay, we'll take like one of each of those and we'll see what it gets us.
Nice. What was the one you went to? I want to Google it now.
It was Aulani's. Someone said it was a chain.
Okay. I'll have to check it out next time.
Yeah, and like I said, it was solid, and it was a couple minutes off of the highway, so it was pretty easy to get to, like coming back from Koaluna.
Okay, nice. Add that to my list.
We got back, and we basically hung out by the pool for a little bit, and then that was dinner at Monkey Pods that night, which was, my sister had actually eaten there like her first night, and she kind of undersold. She's like, oh yeah, it's a restaurant. And like, yes, it is. But I actually thought the food was really solid, and it was pretty decently priced for the quality you got as well. And I really like, they have a really nice setup. It's a very like kind of pretty outdoor area there to sit in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that much within walking distance of Aulani. We're lucky that it's right there, and it looks pretty. I'm not gonna lie, I'm with your sister. I did not love it, and I don't need to go back, but everyone else seems to love it. So I think me and your sister are just in this anti-monkey pod camp, and we're going to stay there by ourselves.
What kind of food did they sell?
They had a pretty big variety. Like I had ended up getting a burger. I'm trying to think what Katie had gotten. I know one of either my mom, I think, had gotten fried fish. I think Katie got like a flatbread of some sort of like flatbread pizza. It's a pretty big, like kind of general menu, I would say. You can get all of your kind of staple comfort picky eater foods if you need. Yeah, everything we had though was pretty solid. We'd ordered a couple drinks as well. They were all really good. Like I said, we were happy with Monkey Pod. We would definitely go back.
Lake, how was the pool chair situation when you got back to Aulani, like midday?
Midday, honestly, it was fine. We couldn't find like 4 sets of chairs next to each other, but we found like a 2 and a 2. And then like one was under the umbrella in the shade and the other one wasn't. So we kind of switched out. It's like someone would go in the pool and someone who was in the sun would go and sit in the shade.
Okay, not bad. Also, did you see the cat that lives by the pool?
We did not see the cat. Pretty much, I think, closes out our day 2. Oh, we did do storytelling that night. We went to just one of the sessions. And it was kind of one of those that we were like around there. Because we went down, we did go and watch the sunset. We walked the path. You can go, once you walk down to the beach, you take a right and you go past the 4 Seasons. And then it turns into like a unpaved type of path, but you can go basically along the Four Seasons private area. And then there's like a little secondary beach there. And I guess you can continue around that to, I think it's Paradise Beach or something like that, Paradise Cove.
Yeah.
However, there were 2 seals sleeping on the beach. So there was a wildlife volunteer out there and basically said, hey, sorry, folks, but tonight you can't get past this point because this is a protective animal and I'm not going to let you pass.
Perfect.
But she was also super cool and super nice. Like, you know, she was answering questions, like probably going out of her realm of what her responsibility was to like educate, you know, a bunch of tourists on this animal and why it's protected. So it was super cool. Over in that area is like where everyone goes to take like honeymoon pictures, family photos. So there had to have been like 10 photographers there with like families. And because those seals were blocking the space, people couldn't really spread out. So we kind of like watched the sunset and we're like, all right, let's get back real quick.
That's so funny, but that is a beautiful area. So I understand why that'd be like a hot spot. Although I'm shocked it was so crowded. I guess I've only been there in the morning when it's like me by myself, but also the sunset is amazing. So makes sense. But you're right.
Yeah.
It's weird to get over there. You're like, okay, hop across this chain and walk through these rocks. And then you're at this amazing beach.
I don't even think there was a chain there. Like it was pretty much just like, okay, like a lot of Aulani area kind of felt like, okay, this is okay at your own risk type of stuff. Like they don't really stop you from going anywhere. Like it's not like Disney where we've got chains and fences and stuff blocking every little thing, or Castaway might be a better example. Castaway is a little more natural than that. Like Aulani very much felt like, okay, like go where you want to go, but it's at your own risk type of deal.
I love it. All right. Day 3. What were your big plans?
Day 3, my sister really wanted to go snorkeling. And this was our like set like resort day. We didn't really have anything planned. And we were looking, we were going to book like a snorkeling, like catamaran excursion. And the one that's closest to Koalina was like a half-day excursion. So it was going to take up a little bit too much of our day. Plus, it was expensive. It was like probably 200 something a pop. Like it was fairly expensive. Or we were going to drive further for a shorter tour, but then lose the time driving. Turns out that one of the most popular snorkeling areas is only a minute drive, literally a minute drive from Aulani. Over right around Aulani, you can actually see from Aulani, there's these smokestacks out past the Four Seasons, and that's from the power plant. And like I said, literally a minute up the road, you get on the highway, and it's like literally you pull off, and there's like parking. There's actually a lifeguard station and everything there as well. And it's like a little tiny, like 40-foot beach, and the power station is like right behind you. But because the power station has pipes out that let warm water from the cooling out there, it's like a haven for snorkeling and fish and turtles. We had messaged Steve about it, and he was like, oh, actually, that's where a lot of the tours take you. They take you to Electric Beach. So we're kind of looking on it and like Googling it and trying to figure it out. I was like, okay, well, we had snorkeling gear, but whatever snorkeling gear my sister and my mom had was like barely working for me when we were just in the little Aulani Cove. So like, okay, I was like, I want a mask. I was like, also, it looked like this could actually be like a legitimate swim. Now, both me and my sister were competitive swimmers. Like, I'm confident in our swimming ability, but I was like, I kind of think if what like I've never been there. I don't know what we're getting into. I was like, I think we should go get fins. So we drove to a dive shop that was like 15 minutes away. It's by the Walmart that you would go to if you're coming to Aulani, if Walmart is your preference over Target for whatever reason. But it was in like the same plaza as that Walmart. But we went in and we got fins, and I bought myself a mask and a snorkel.
Isn't there a dive shop at the end of the cove by the marina at Aulani? I'm pretty sure Steve's family like learned to dive there.
Yes, the company that Steve's family used moved out of the Koalina area.
Well, there you go.
There is still a dive company there, but I don't believe they had a shop.
Okay.
But yeah, we went to this shop, and I had read that it was like everyone's first comment was it was surprisingly like reasonably priced. And they were totally right. Like it was just some kid working there, but it's like, hey, it's like we just like need some fins and I need a snorkel and mask. And he was basically like, oh, over there's like kind of the best value. He's like, everything for a pair of fins there will be less than $50. He's like, then the masks are all right here. Their price is marked, and you can pick your snorkel. Their price is marked as well. So, I mean, I think I got out of there spending less than $100, and that was buying like a nicer mask because I was like, okay, this I could actually probably use. And then my sister just bought fins. And like I said, I think she spent like maybe $30. So it was really not expensive at all. And then we drove back out to Electric Beach, and there was a ton of people snorkeling out there. The parking lot, people say, gets like pretty packed. People will park like out along the railroad tracks there. I could definitely see it. It was off season for us, so we did find a spot pretty easily, but it's even a spot that like definitely a lot of locals go to for sure. There were people there doing actual scuba diving. There was definitely people who had like nicer fin setups that they probably did not bring on a plane or whatnot on their own. Like you could just tell that there were like local people there. But yeah, you basically go and this little beach section and you swim out probably about 200 yards. And it is probably anywhere between like, I would say 10 to like 20 feet deep below you. It's like you're swimming out and there are reefs and stuff. Like you were seeing stuff. It's like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then you get out to that warm water and all of a sudden it is like thousands of fish just like all over the place. Like you're swimming into a cloud of fish. And sure enough, there's sea turtles pretty much every couple minutes you're seeing. Like it absolutely was the right call for us. We were super happy that that was what we chose to do. And again, being so close to Aulani, it was quite awesome. We were really, really happy. I think we probably snorkeled for maybe an hour and a half or so, pretty much just until we got tired and then swam in. There were people who were out there without fins and they were totally fine. The water and the way the waves were, it really wasn't too rough, but I could definitely see if you hit it on the wrong kind of day, you would be glad to have fins to make it out and back, because we didn't have vests or anything. It was just us and our feet keeping us out there.
I will say I was there on the wrong kind of day. Yeah, I was there in February and it was definitely not the day to go snorkeling, because just to get out past like the concrete barrier of the pipes was hard. And I was just getting like thrashed around and I had fins and I was out there and I'm like, I'm gonna just get washed away here. It was crazy. It was also kind of rainy. So I'm out there snorkeling and my family's just like suffering on the beach. And it did seem like kind of a sketchy area. So we didn't last very long, but I have heard amazing things. And I'm so jealous you had a good experience, because I do want to check it out maybe on a not so water thrashy day, because your pictures looked awesome.
Yeah, I have a bunch more video from that too. I will say the other thing I did was I went and looked up like the tidal and the wave situation on the weather app just to see, and that would probably be the way to go, is to just double check that. Again, though, it is literally like a minute from Aulani, so you could also just drive over there and you'd probably see that there's not a lot of people there in the water and say, okay, this might be a little bit much.
That's a good point. Although I will say when I was there was a sea lion on the beach without a protector person. And then it like wiggled its way into the water. And I was like trying to snorkel out there, but it was just like wave city. So note to self, I'll have to go back to get that shave ice Lake's talking about and then go back to Electric Beach.
Yeah, that was another exceeds expectations. Again, you are right. It is kind of a little bit of a sketchy like setup. There's nothing else around it. Like there's just the power plant. There's a little parking lot and there's a bathroom and a wash, like an outdoor shower, and then one lifeguard stand and this little tiny patch of beach. Like it's literally 20 feet. It's not like it's pretty, but it's not like nice.
I mean, everything else in Hawaii, which is like gorgeous, this is like almost gross. But once you get onto the water, it's worth it, you know?
Is there a lifeguard in the lifeguard stand?
There is. It's like a big hut. But yeah, Electric Beach exceeded expectations. And then our plan when we got back, before we even went out and did that, Katie and I did go and do the wake up for chairs. So we were out and we were holding her and I's chair. We got the like front row right when you're on the pool deck side, but you can look out over the ocean there.
Nice.
So we got that like A+ seating there. So we waited for that and the towels. And then my sister and I went and did the dive shop and the snorkeling. So we came back and we were able to go and chill over there. I think we literally just like chilled and we would dip in the pool every once in a while and then would chill some more. It was awesome.
Could you get more? Could you get 4 chairs, or did each chair have to have a butt in it?
We were able to get 4.
Okay.
Like her and I just kind of sat there and we had like 2 empty ones between us. And there were other people like who needed more, basically. Like people were at those seats already. So then once we were able to get towels and you were officially allowed to like hold seats, then we were able to secure the 4. And then my sister and I left for a little bit and we came back and it was fine.
I love it. You got to play the game. You know, what are you going to do?
Aulani is such a game of like hacks and tips and tricks for sure. Like we definitely learned a lot about things we would do differently next time. Again, I talked about like the room preference type of thing, and then the whole saving towels is its whole own little game, and it's pretty well outlined. Basically, anytime you walk into a pool area, they have signs saying, "Hey, this is how you play the pool chair game," basically. And
For
then
the people listening, I just big eye roll, not at you, Lake, but at the system.
it is a system. I think the other thing we did that day was we did the lazy river as well. And then I think we just hung out, dipped in the pool. And then we did have what we call our fancy dinner. So we were going to eat at one of the places on Aulani. And we were a little bit turned off that everything was prefix. Like every sit down restaurant on Aulani is prefix. And we're like, okay, it's like, I don't know if we want to commit to that. And they are fairly expensive too. Like I think the cheapest one is like $115.
The buffet dinner, is that a buffet dinner still, or is it plated? It's just a prefix 3-course makaliki or whatever that place is called.
Makahiki.
Hey, that wasn't.
I
too
remember
far off.
one was like $115 and the other one was almost $200, which is the nicer one out by the water there.
It is a beautiful location, but
yeah, and we would absolutely do one of them next time. Like we said, we wish we had tried them, especially after we were there longer and like kind of mulled over the menus a little bit. But at the time of like looking at the reservations, we were like, I don't know if we want to do that. What we did instead, which ended up being equally as expensive anyways, but it wasn't prefix, was we did a reservation at Mina's Fish House, which is over there at the Four Seasons. And we will say that was actually an awesome meal as well. We did that one a little bit later, so it would be dark by the time we sat down, gave us a little bit more time at the pool. But I actually thought that was a really awesome meal there. They have a fish sommelier.
Stop it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, like biggest trick is use the fish sommelier because like we were looking at, they have a menu and then they have a whole second menu, like full of different specials and like fresh caught and this and that. And he came by the first time. We were like, oh, I think we're okay. And then we were like looking at this and I'm like I'm not a big seafood person, but I was like, okay, I was like, I'm going to try a fish. It's like, I'm going to try something new here. It's like, but I don't know what to try. And sure enough, we called him back. And within a couple minutes, he had us all sold on some different meal of all sorts of different fish that we had never heard of.
Was it fitting? Like, did you all each enjoy your meal?
All of the fish we had was fantastic.
That's amazing.
Actually, pretty much that whole meal was fantastic. The only thing that was kind of a miss for us was he had sold us on adding the duck fat fries, and they were just fries. They were good, but like for the rest of the meal being like really, really solid, we just didn't need to add the greasy fries on top of this. But yeah, everything else we had, the fish sommelier's recommendations were super, super good. The specialty drink there is the can, which is like a coconut Mai Tai that comes in a Spam can. Definitely like the best Mai Tai I've ever had, actually. It was really good. I was really happy with that.
Is there still Roy's on the island or in that Paulina area?
There is one in that area. It is across the street.
Before we move on, this was actually the night that I went back out and I did the photos at night. I mean, the resort really, like by 8 o'clock is kind of shut down. The pools are closed. There's not a whole lot going on after 8 o'clock. Anytime after that, you can kind of go out and get like some pretty decent photos of the resort and the resort area at night. And of course, you're on more or less a smaller island, so the stars are all out and pretty. So I did walk around for probably like an hour or so and do that. I did also catch another storytelling because I just happened to kind of stumble upon it. They're real quick, like 10-15 minute stories, but they definitely add a lot of flavor to Aulani, I think.
Do they have live music around that resort still? Well, usually there was like one guy with a guitar or something by the bar.
They did, but I don't necessarily remember it in the evening, but there was definitely a couple times like during the day where there would be different people doing music like throughout the resort. Like I remember specifically when we were in the lazy river, there were people performing on the bridge. Really felt like sometimes there was just people randomly performing.
That is crazy.
So the fact that Aulani shuts down at 8 is perfect by me. I'm missing nothing. I'm in bed already. I don't know what's happening after the sun goes down.
Yeah, the answer really is not a whole lot. The bars and stuff shut down. Like there's not really anything going on. Most of the whole Coalina area kind of feels like that. Like once it gets dark, it's like the resort goes to bed.
That must have hurt your young soul.
No, we were totally fine with it because of the time change and everything. Like we were waking up really early every morning. Oh, that brings us to a great thing that happened this night as well. The fire alarm went off at 4 in the morning.
Stop it.
And our whole side of the tower was evacuating the building. Yeah, Katie and I got dressed, grabbed our essential items and were out basically by the pool until they got the all clear that, either it was a false alarm or they handled whatever situation happened. We don't know what it was. Yeah, we were up at 4 in the morning, and really at that point we were basically up because we were pretty much naturally waking up at 5 o'clock anyways.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Although you might have got a good pool seat that day since you were down there at 4 in the morning with your essentials.
We did, actually. Yeah, it was fine. I will say I was very impressed because I felt like Katie and I got out of the room fairly quickly because we just didn't know. So we did go and we went down the stairs, and every single corner there was already a cast member directing people. And as soon as they had the all clear, we had only maybe walked for a minute or two as they were directing us kind of towards the cove. And they're like, okay, you guys can come back. We're all clear. So I was impressed with how fast people were in their spots and reacting to that situation.
At 4 in the morning.
At 4 in the morning, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, so this was supposed to be our Pearl Harbor Day. And my sister had already decided she didn't want to go. We had only booked the Arizona tour, which you can book through Pearl Harbor site for $1. It was a super nominal amount of money. So she decided she didn't want to go. And then Katie was like, oh man, I think I would really like to just stay and hang at the resort. We were having just such a good time at Aulani. So then me and my mom were like, well, do we want to go? It's well, I'll go if you want to go. I was like, well, do we want to just table this? At this point, we knew that a return trip was on the table already. So we're like, is this just something that we table for next time? And my mom was like, yeah, that's fine. Again, we didn't have any big tours booked, so we weren't losing out on anything. And quite frankly, the idea of not having to drive over there was perfectly fine with me. We turned that into a resort day. I opened up the door where my sister was sleeping. I said, hey, grab your fins. We're going to go snorkeling again for an hour. So we drove back up to Electric Beach. We snorkeled for an hour. And then, again, we're back at the resort an hour later, just a good experience. I will say the water was a little bit rougher. Coming in, we were both like, oh, yeah, glad we had the fins today. That was a little bit harder to get in. But again, saw, I think, even more actually that day because we saw several different turtles. We saw an even greater variety of fish. It was, well worth the 2-minute drive to get over there if you have your own stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was peak of the trip overall. And then we really just did resort time. We bought drinks. I will say we had a lot of trouble this trip trying to get the people walking around to come and take orders. We would be like, oh, could you bring us a menu? And then think maybe they would come back and ask if we need anything. And people would just never come back.
Oh, no.
Which is weird because the lady we were talking to was super nice. We were super excited for her to serve us. And we're like, okay, well, I guess we'll just, order the mobile app and everything. We'd done was that Off the Hook for lunch. Yeah. Again, pricey, but everything was really, I think, meets expectations on that. It was all pretty good. We were happy with that for sure. And that's really all we did that day was just hang out by the pool. I can't even remember what we did for dinner that night.
How was the weather? Was it super hot, comfortable?
It was pretty hot. I would say it was high 80s, but Disneyland was 110 degrees almost every day. So we were A-okay with it. I did get pretty sunburnt. I'm not going to lie. I could have been a little bit more aggressive with the sunscreen. Lesson learned there. Beautiful, sunny, hot weather pretty much the whole time.
Nice. So that was your last full day, or did you have one more full day?
That was the last full day for us, unfortunately. And that was pretty much the day where we just started making our list for things we were going to come back and do.
Amazing.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
We can go into those. I would love to hear that.
Last day was pretty much a short day because we did fly out at around noon. So we had to leave the resort at 9, which still gave us a couple hours because we were once again up at 5 in the morning. This was the day that I got up and ran, and I pretty much ran that backside with all the coves, ran all the way up to the marina, and then went out to the front side and ran pretty much around the whole Coalina area on that side from the one end, which turns kind of residential, all the way through to the shops and back up through Aulani. So that was all pretty cool. You can actually get a pretty good distance there if you really need. Where the coves are, where you really want to run, is really only like 2 miles or so to get all the way out to the end. So you can't get a ton of distance if you just want to do that. It was hot and humid, very Florida-esque type of run for sure, but it was good. But then from there, it was really, we had already done all our packing up. So I think we pretty much just drove to the airport. No major issues there. We didn't really hit a ton of traffic or anything, did the return rental. I don't really think I have anything like super noteworthy other than that's probably the most unique airport I've ever been to. Because the side we were on is like, it's an outdoor airport, basically.
Right.
Unfortunately, we were on one of the older ends of that airport. If you don't know, that airport is very famous for having the extremely luxurious Hawaiian terminal. And then all of the other terminals very clearly looking like they did in the 70s.
I didn't know that because I'm always on the other one that's just been under construction every time I've been there. And yeah, the carpet's definitely from the 50s. But it's so beautiful, though. Like, who has an outdoor airport?
Oh, yeah, it was super cool and unique.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the side we were on just was like really lacking for food. So it was just like random, whatever airport, quick service seafood we could get. We flew from Hawaii to LAX, and then we had like an hour layover LAX to Tampa. All that was pretty much fine and smooth. Nothing super noteworthy there.
What airline did you fly?
Oh, what airline didn't we fly for this trip? I think we flew Southwest from Tampa to LAX, or Tampa to SNA, LAX to Hawaii. We were United, I think. And then coming back, we were Delta.
Wow, you really did experience. Which one had the best snacks?
Ooh, actually, that United one was pretty good, but we were Comfort Plus on Delta.
Nice.
So we did get more on that one.
You get the good snack basket.
Yeah, we did.
I love the good snack basket.
Although what's funny is we weren't Comfort Plus on the first leg, only on the second one. But the first leg, we had a newer plane, and it was just Katie and I like next to each other in our seats there. We had a much like the seats were comfier than the Comfort Plus on the older plane we had going from LAX to Tampa.
Are we ready for Aulani? So I would like tips for future Aulani goers, and then maybe things you want to do next time and or things you would have done differently.
If you're staying DVC, your parking is included, which I think just makes it worth it to rent the car from the airport, where it's going to be cheaper than renting it at the Aulani kiosk.
Oh, 100%. I've heard that Aulani kiosk can have like crazy lines too. I don't know what the options are to get from the airport to the hotel if you don't have a car.
My sister Ubered, and it wasn't too bad when she did it. However, Steve was on the island at the time, and when he landed, the Uber to come and see us would have been like almost $70 some. Like, don't do that. But yeah, definitely renting the car was 100% worth it. Again, especially if you are staying DVC or renting DVC points to stay, your parking is included. Just converting that savings to the rental price anyways.
Plus, you can go get food, which will save you so much money with like snacks and drinks and stuff like that. And then whenever I go on vacation, I have to go buy a sweatshirt at some point because I'm freezing. So the car comes in handy for that. I don't know. Aulani's great and all, but just getting out there and seeing the island is so worth it. Yeah,
we did breakfast in the room as well. And again, that was super easy. One thing we want to do next time is the canoes or the sailing canoes that they have out on Aulani. Those looked super fun. We could actually see them out when we were at Electric Beach. They go out over that way.
Oh, wow.
But they are pretty expensive. They're $119 per person, and they have basically reserved times. You can go up to the desk, which is right by the beach there. However, they won't go if they don't have at least 4 people. So even if you book it on your own, you may not necessarily be able to go. I think the best thing to do is either convince your whole family to do it or coordinate with a Facebook group and try to figure out which one you can go. I'm sure you could also go and ask them like, hey, which ones are definitely going to go. And they said, though, they'll add like additional sailings that day if it's continuing to fill up. But otherwise, if they don't get enough people, then those canoes will sometimes just sit there all day as well, which is what we saw was they kind of sporadically went out. It wasn't like every hour they were going.
Is this that one big canoe with the big sail on the beach, or is this something different?
Yes, there's two of them that they have.
Okay.
But yeah, they actually take you out and they look like they go pretty fast out there too. We said we would actually like to try it. It looked like it would be a lot of fun and kind of a cool perspective to see of Aulani kind of from the water out there.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't realize it till our last day, but that shopping center out there by Monkey Pod definitely has quite a bit of offerings. Now they have a lot of like, little boutique stores and stuff like that. Katie did a little shopping there, but they also have the ABC store, which is out behind Monkey Pod there. You can get a lot of your basic groceries. You can do some pretty quick meals there because they have a deli. They have like a sushi section. They also have a specialty coffee area as well. And then they also pretty much carry any sort of vacation forget-me's and pretty much any vacation like knickknacks you could ever want to collect. Your shirts, your hats, your sweatshirts, your keychains. They have all of that pretty general stuff there. And there's stuff that they sell at Aulani that they actually sell there for cheaper because my mom and my sister were like looking for, things made in Hawaii to bring back. And they found stuff at the ABC store that Aulani was selling for like twice the price.
That's amazing. That ABC store, it's super nice. Like it's huge. And they have, like you said, all that fresh food and like hot breakfasts. And just a note, I found that pretty much everywhere in Hawaii, like the gas station, 7-Eleven, fresh fruit. We always make fun of like gas station sushi here in Florida. But out there, it's like super high quality pretty much everywhere you go. So that's a good tip. You can just walk right over to ABC and kind of get a hot meal for not that much. They also have a really good bar over there. I think it's called the 808.
In that complex.
Yeah, it's new. It's newish because this is the first time I'd seen it. They have pretty good happy hour over there. And for me, happy hour is like normal eating time because I have to go to bed at 6 p.m. So that was a new addition to the Aulani area that I would recommend.
So like I said, other things we would definitely want to do again. We would want to eat at least another meal actually on Aulani, try one of the actual restaurants. We just at the time were not looking to commit to the prefix meal, but we definitely would book and try at least one of them next time we go.
Have you been, Amber, at all?
Yeah, like 4 years ago, we did the Makihiki character breakfast for my husband's 40th birthday, because that's what every grown man wants to do for their birthday.
It's cute, though. It's so
cute. Like, it's fine. It's $8,000 a person for breakfast. It was fun for like the one time. And I've done, I can't remember what's called. Ama? That's right.
Yes.
I did that a long time ago, and I'm just not a foodie. So like, it's delicious and fine, but I didn't need to pay the $4 billion for that meal when I don't really appreciate things like that. To Lake's point, it's right on the ocean. It's beautiful. Like if you're looking for, like an amazing restaurant and you don't have a car or you don't want to drive far, it's right there. My last trip though, we honestly never ate at all at Aulani.
You were gone a lot on your last trip. Like you were off doing the things.
Yeah, because I don't sit still very well. So Lake seems to be really good at this. But yeah, I always made my family like, let's go somewhere. So we followed Lake's advice and we did all the hole in the wall places we could possibly do for lunch. And then we had our mac and cheese for dinner or something like that.
Yeah, a couple other things I can think of. First off, characters on the resort. They have some cool characters. However, it is not always the same characters every day. It's like on a 3 or 4 day rotation. So if you see a character that you want on a specific day, go that day. If it's someone popular, there will 100% be lines for it. I feel like there was almost always like for unique characters, 20 or 30 people waiting by the time the character came out. Me liking Ulu was out on the first day and we're like, oh, well, we're going to go and get the shirts we saw and then go back out. Ulu didn't come back out until the day we were leaving. So he was only out basically one of our days.
So did you ever meet him or did you have to go to the airport?
No, we missed him. So if you see a character on the agenda and that character list does not drop until 9 o'clock on the day of, on the app, it just tells you there's character meetings from 9 to 5 or whatever, but then it says check back, and at 9 o'clock that list drops with where they're going to meet and what characters are available that day.
Do they still do the paper schedule?
No, Christy, there's no paper anymore ever.
Or Amber, why don't you say really quick, what are your favorite off-property places to go?
Well, the North Shore, which it sounds like, Lake, you did not have time to hit the North Shore. That's also, it's similar vibe to Kuloa Ranch, where it's just like, I mean, it's obviously touched, but it's kind of untouched. That's where the good shave ice is, on the North Shore.
How long does it take you to get there?
Like 45 minutes. There's actually a really good hike right by Aulani. It's a couple miles away from Electric Beach. It's one of those you just have to Google. It's like park next to the 5th cone, you know, like on some street. But it's called the Pink Pillbox Hike. Definitely Google that if you want to go. That Walmart Lake mentioned, we did go there quite a bit. And then there's also a shopping complex that you see on the highway from the airport. And that's where the Leonard's Malsada truck is. So I always recommend a stop at the Leonard's Malsada truck, because it's delicious.
Trying to ask any warnings for renting DVC points. I would say just use someone who is vetted and reliable. I don't have any affiliation with anyone specifically, nor have I personally done it. So I don't have a recommendation there. We did not do the luau. That was actually one thing I was trying to like convince my family, like, do we want to do the luau? And they were like, no, I don't think so. But
Yeah,
I would definitely consider doing it.
I've never done it either. I'll be honest. The last 2 times we went, we had a room facing the luau. So I was like, sweet, free luau. So we like made our hot dogs and we were going to watch the luau. And I'm not going to lie, I was bored. In the midst of the luau, I was watching it from afar. And we like left halfway through. So I'm sure it's amazing when you're down there. I just can't eat that much. There are rooms that straight up look over the luau. I heard it fills up really fast. So it's one of those, same with everything. Like all the restaurants fill up really fast.
It's like they didn't know that people would want to go to things when they made the capacity.
There's that Paradise Cove luau Lake mentioned,
Right.
which that beach is awesome. That's the other one of my tips. Google that beach and just walk there. It's amazing. But I heard that the Paradise Cove luau might be closing. So now this might be the closest luau to Aulani. So maybe it'll get more popular. So things to Google for the next trip.
So, like I said, we definitely for sure want to go back. We did say what we will probably do next time is do kind of a split stay with somewhere in Waikiki and do a couple days in a cheaper hotel where we want to go and do all of our adventures, and then switch over to Aulani and do a couple days where we will basically just do Aulani, just relax, maybe, you know, again, drive over to Electric Beach. Because there is so much more on the island. Again, we didn't get to do Pearl Harbor. We did actually really want to do that, and we just didn't make it happen. We would love to do some of the hikes on the island as well, go up and do the North Shore. So much. Again, we already said we want to go back and do Kuloa Ranch. So we definitely think we would do a split stay next time, fly in. I believe we have a show out with Nova's family where they did just that. They did a split stay and stayed in Honolulu for a couple of days, did their adventures, and then just relaxed at Aulani. And that is definitely what we plan on doing next time. Otherwise, overall thoughts of Aulani and Hawaii, it was absolutely and exceeds expectations trips. One of our favorite trips we've taken in a long time, to be honest. We were not ready to go. It was not long enough. Aulani might be one of the best Disney resorts. Definitely one of the prettiest by far. Absolutely loved it. We will 100% be going back probably in the next few years here. We loved it.
I was going to ask you if your 5-day stay was just right or too short or too long, but it sounds like it was way too short.
Oh, too short for sure.
Nice.
The only reason it was so short was because we had the Disneyland trip booked and we were like, well, let's tie it to that since we're already flying halfway. But next time we will do a dedicated Hawaii Aulani trip for sure.
Nice.
Well, I think that is going to wrap us up. We are running pretty long here. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you again for our Patreons who were watching and chatting live. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much again, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Well, it's going to wrap up the show. Once again, I want to thank you all for listening to my own trip report for Aulani. If you're enjoying the show, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We would also like to thank our patrons who help make this show happen each and every week for us. You too can help support the show by visiting patreon.com/DCL Podcast. Whether you're boarding a cruise, enjoying a trip to the parks, or adventuring outside of Disney, on behalf of myself, Christy, and Steve, we want to wish you smooth sailings and safe travels. We'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.